Welcome to Bad Audiobooks on the TMBC network, and brought to you by our intelligent listeners and supporters on Patreon. I'm Nick Mazmanian, along with my co-host,
Ken Heidelman. Thank you for joining us today on our parody show about good books read badly. So what is coming off the shelf today?
We are deep into the Grimm's fairy tales. Today we'll be reading an oldie but a goodie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
Awesome. And just for a fun little tidbit for everyone as Nick struggles to get his book open, we are recording off-site. We are not in the normal studio. That is my studio.
Yeah, it is your studio.
Office, studio,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. I was going to joke, but it really is called a studio. We are recording in a parking garage.
As they say, remote. We are remote.
We are remote.
And this brings us back to the history of the podcast when I first did the first episode of the Bad Audiobooks.
The now lost episode.
Yes, the lost episode. I recorded in a parking garage myself because it was quiet. No one bothered you. But this time I have friends.
You have company.
Kent, all the voices in my head. And
one is manifested into a fleshy body next to you.
and it's not going to suck as much because I won't be alone.
Exactly. I'm here to join you in the misery that is a parking garage, but hopefully not miserable for everyone.
Well, let's hope not. I mean, the audio quality is going to be different, but hopefully you at home don't care.
Alrighty. So it's today it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. We already did Snow White and Rose Red. So is this a sequel?
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know who's on first. I don't know what's going on. So
chicken and an egg scenario.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get started.
Let's jump in. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Once upon a time, in the middle of winter, when the flakes of snow were falling like feathers from the sky, a queen...
What is dying that feathers are falling from the sky?
I'm sorry, what?
They're comparing snow falling to
we are not even a sentence in.
I know. But snow is falling from the sky it's falling like feathers from the sky. It's almost like how many feathers are falling that you can compare the snow to it? How many birds are dying? I thought we left this in the last podcast episode.
I don't know, Kent. You're the one who murders animals. You tell me, how many feathers does it take to fill the sky like snow?
As someone that does not murder animals, I do not know that, but it's a good question. I'm guessing a lot.
I'm assuming it's quite a lot of duck hunting happening. But anyway, a queen sat on a window sewing, and the frame of the window was made of black ebony.
What is black ebony?
Ebony? It's a wood. Ebony is a color, but I guess it's also... I think it's a wood.
Okay.
No, ebony is just a color. So black ebony is kind of
I
redundant.
guess I'm thinking of ivory. Why was I thinking of ebony?
Because ebony...
I didn't know ebony was a wood. I'm learning a lot. This is an educational podcast for me.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a wood off the top of my head. Woodworker fail.
You are a woodworker, though.
I am, but it's a woodworking fail. I don't remember off the top of my head if ebony is a kind of wood or not.
Well, God, we need to get past these first two sentences.
I know. We have 10 pages. I have a dinner I need to go to, dude. Come on.
I'm ready. We're going to nail this one.
Oh, boy.
Good signs ahead.
Off to a flying start. And while she was sewing and looking out, and while she was sewing and looking out of the window at the snow, she pricked her finger with the needle, and with 3 drops of blood fell upon the snow. And the red looked pretty upon the white snow, and she thought to herself,
"Would that I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood of the window frame."
What the shit?
Oh, that is really what you say. Okay, I like that we get our questions answered very quickly on this podcast.
If only we had waited.
Is that the moral of this story?
Just be a little bit patient.
What kind of wood is this? Well, don't you remember in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, that the wood frame around the Queen's castle was all made of ebony, which is a fine, dark wood of good quality.
Of course.
Will that be 12 planks today or 15, sir?
I'll take 3.5. Soon after that, she had a little daughter. She had a little daughter who was as white as snow and as red as blood and her hair as black as ebony, and she was therefore called Little Snow White. And when the child was born, the queen died.
All right, so I'm gonna stop you there. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought that in the previous version, Snow
It was-
White had a sister named Rose Red, and they were in a cottage.
Clearly, this has been retconned.
Yeah, there's a. This
We're
is
looking
the
at the first
second,
retcon
second
story.
secret origin of Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
She's a princess now, and the evil stepmother is. Well, I guess she's not. Sorry, is there a evil stepmother?
We haven't gotten there yet, Kent. We're still on the first
I
page.
guess I'm thinking of Disney.
Yes,
We're in the first paragraph.
No, we're in the second
paragraph.
We're on the second paragraph. Now we're
Moving
on the third.
Exciting stuff.
After a year had passed, the king took to himself another wife. That's very kind of him to wait a year. She was beautiful, a beautiful woman, but proud and haughty, and she could not bear that anyone else should surpass her in beauty. She had a wonderful looking glass, and when she stood in front of it and looked at herself in it, she said, "Should I do it or should
You do it.
okay?" Looking glass. No.
Yeah, do it.
Looking glass on the wall. Who is in this land the fairest of them all? And the looking glass answered,
Thou, O Queen, art the fairest of all.
Then she was satisfied, for she knew that the looking glass spoke the truth.
Yeah, you know you could trust inanimate objects talking.
But Snow White was growing up and grew more and more beautiful.
She's only
And
one.
Well, now she's 7, so hang on.
Well,
And when she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as the day and more beautiful than the queen herself. And
that seems
once
weird
when
to objectify her or talk about her beauty at 7.
Well, a kid could be pretty or beautiful at a certain age, but it's just because she's pretty.
Well, how beautiful is this queen that she's
Well, I mean,
being passed
I'm
up
not
by
going
a
to say in the
7-year-old?
context of the sentence, it is very strange. But if you call the
Strange.
little girl beautiful or something like that you knew.
But they're comparing, so
Yeah, that's really weird.
Or thinking about her, it's just weird. It's very strange to me.
No, I'll give you that. The only reason it's normal for me is because I have a kid, and it's like weird where you're just like, okay, yeah, that's normal. But if I didn't have a child, yeah, I could totally see why that'd be strange. And more beautiful than the queen herself. And once when the queen asked her looking glass on the wall, who is in this land the fairest of them all? It answered,
Thou art fairer than all who are here, Lady Queen. But more beautiful still is Snow White, as I weed.
that's a made-up word. That has to be a made-up word. I'm
You
declaring it,
been,
so.
you seen,
You ween.
you Lady Queen.
Sweet lady queen. Anyway, then the queen was shocked and turned yellow and green with envy. Sounds like actually sepsis, but whatever. From that hour, whenever she looked at Snow White, her heart
bruises from King beating her.
her heart heaved in her breast. She hated that girl so much.
Jesus.
And envy and pride grew higher and higher in her heart, like a weed. Hey, hey, hey. Anyway, so that she had no peace, day or night. She called the huntsman and said, Take the child away into the forest. I will not have her in my sight. Kill her and bring me her heart as a token. The huntsman obeyed and took her away, but when he had drawn his knife and was about to pierce Snow White's innocent heart, she began to weep and said,
Oh, dear huntsman,
Oh, Jesus.
leave me my life.
The
I will run away into the wild forest and never come home again.
Oh man, that voice, we have to listen to that now. Oh my god. And as she was so beautiful and the huntsman had pity on her and said, Run away, then, you poor child. Hang on, there's an extra. Oh, the wild beast will soon have devoured you, thought he. Are we too loud or what's going on?
You ignore that part of me.
Oh, sorry.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
No, I'm not.
Keep going.
Clearly we're in your ears, listener. Don't mind that person behind you. And as she thought he, and it seemed as if a stone had been rolled from his heart, since it was no longer needful for him to kill her. and as a young boar just then came running by, he stabbed it and cut out its heart.
That's convenient.
Yeah, right. And took it to the queen as proof that the child was dead. A boar's heart is massive, by the way, in comparison to a child's heart. So, cool.
I think that she had some sort of
Rare
artery inflated problem. Some
Some
growth.
rare genetic disorder. It's actually a good thing we killed her because she would have had a really terrible life. You are a very good queen. Here you go. I gotta go.
Her ribs would have exploded from the size of her heart.
I have to
popping.
go.
I gotta go.
The cook had to salt this. The cook had to salt this, and the wicked queen ate it, and thought she had eaten the heart of Snow White.
That is fucked up.
Well-
No other two ways to cut that one.
Well, there's a lot of stuff from this time that's really screwed up.
Awesome.
But now the poor child was all alone in the great forest, and so terrified that she looked at every leaf of every tree, and did not know what to do.
So that's how she spends her spare time, is staring at
Looking
leaves
at trees,
and
looking
leaves.
at leaves. Yep.
That's great.
Crap. This one's actually really long. Okay. Let me see. And then she began to run and ran over sharp stones and through thorns, and the wild beasts ran past her, but did her no harm. She ran as long as her feet would go, and it was almost evening. Then she saw a little cottage and went into it to rest herself. Everything in the cottage was small, but neater and cleaner than could be told.
So now we're going to call it cottage right now.
Yeah,
that was a rapid transition.
Well, it was getting dark. The thing that's funny is that in the movie, the cottage is kind of a mess. So, yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
I think it was a good change on their part for the
Yeah.
adaptation, but it's curious is not making a new paragraph for that.
No.
cottage
Formatting's a nightmare. They don't
Sorry,
believe in
sorry
formatting.
if the reading is weird of this shit. It's a weird ass story with really terrible writing.
Well, this is par for the course for most of the stories in here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in the cottage was small. And there was a table on which a...
Nope, you skipped a sentence.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I guess you're recapping.
Yeah, I realized I had read that one.
Sorry.
And I was moving forward. Why you gotta call me on my shit?
Because it was weird to read the first part of that sentence and not the second part.
Yeah, well, that's true. Okay. There was a table on which was a white cover and 7 little plates, and on each little plate a spoon, or on each plate a little spoon. Moreover, there were 7 little knives and forks, and 7 little mugs. Against the wall stood 7 little beds side by side, and covered with snow white counterpanes. They really need to not use the main character's name as a color description.
I am so confused right now. What? Yeah, it's exactly what you said. So they're saying my brain is imploding. Again, they did this in the last one. Let's describe this white surface as being Snow White like. Maybe this made sense for the times. And then maybe it was just like, like the title of the character.
Is that like a Hollywood thing? It's like, and there's the title of our movie.
Yeah, exactly. We should go and avenge these New Yorkers from the attack.
What movie is that?
We should. You know what? That's
What are you
right. We
referencing?
should avenge them.
I don't. You're saying avenge in a way in which I should know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. No one knows. Never.
Is that an indie? Is that a little indie film you know
I
about?
think it's a little indie film no one's ever seen.
Oh God.
But it's weird to use it out of context. And all right, so then second question: what is a counterpane?
I don't know, but let's just move on.
Awesome, good stuff, Grimm.
Yeah, there you go. Little Snow White was so hungry and thirsty that she ate some vegetables and bread from each plate and drank a drop of wine out of each mug, for she did not wish to take all from only one. And then, that's so courteous of her to rob everybody equally. Then, as she was so tired, she laid herself down on one of the little beds, but none of them suited her. None was too long, another too short, but at
I'm
last...
getting a Goldilocks vibe right now.
No, seriously, this is a ripoff. But at last she found one. She found that the 7th one was right, and so she remained in it, and said a prayer, and went to sleep.
Maybe Goldilocks ripped off of Snow White.
Again, I don't know which one came first.
Doesn't
We'll
matter.
never know.
We'll never know.
It's an impossible question.
No way to answer it.
Like, what is gravity? When it was, no, I'm going to move on. When it was quite dark, the owners of the cottage came back. They were 7 dwarves who dug and delved in the mountains for ore. Hey, these dwarves aren't robbing people, Kent.
They're producing their own stuff. Unlike the last story, I guess dwarves are just like real people. They come in all sorts and stuff.
They got to treat like humans in this one. This is fun. That's nice. They lit their 7 candles, and as it was now light within the cottage, they saw that someone had been there, for everything was not in the same order in which they had left. The first said, "Oh God,
we're gonna have to come up with 7 unique dwarf names."
Shit. Okay, good luck.
You get the odd ones, and I'll get the even ones.
Okay, that sounds fine. The first one said, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Or who's been sitting in my chair? The second one.
Who has been sitting or eating off? I thought I was going to be doing the sitting thing. Who has been eating off of my plate?
The third. Who has been taking some of my bread? The fourth.
Who has been eating my vegetables?
The fifth. Who has been using my fork? The sixth.
Who has been cutting with my knife?
The seventh. Who has been drinking out of my mug?
That's my favorite, and I don't remember any of them.
I don't either.
Here we go.
Then the first looked around and saw that there was a little hole in his bed, and he said, "Oh God, what did I even do?"
Fuck it. Keep going. We're gonna nail this. We'll just abide by the rules of evens and odds.
Okay. Who has been getting into my bed? The others came up and each called out,
"Somebody has been lying in my bed too."
New voice.
The seventh.
It's the 8th one that nobody talks about.
Ted. But the 7th, when he looked in his bed, saw little Snow White, who was lying asleep therein. And he called the others, who came running up, and they cried out with astonishment, and brought their 7 little candles, and lit the light fall on Snow White. Oh, we gotta do this together.
Oh, heavens! Oh, heavens!
Cried they.
What a lovely child!
And they were so glad that they did not wake her up.
Even though they all cried in unison.
And had light shining in her face. Are we sure she's dead? She has to be
That's
dead.
A corpse.
No wonder why she's so white.
All the bloods
they
keep talking about has been extracted.
Yeah. But let her sleep on the bed. Let her sleep in the bed, and the 7th dwarf slept with his companions 1 hour with each, and so got through the night.
That is a horrible night's sleep.
That's terrible. When it was morning, little Snow White awoke and was frightened when she saw the 7 dwarves. But they were friendly and asked her what her name was.
"My name is Snow White,"
she answered.
How have you come to our house?"
Oh, said the dwarfs.
The transition is hard.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Harsh. Again, formatting, horrendous.
Yeah. Then she told them that her stepmother had wished to have her killed, but that the huntsman had spared her life, and that she...
We went to a party together.
It's like an echo. Did you go to a party? Is that what you said?
Keep going.
Okay. And that she had run for the whole day
Yeah,
until at last she had found their dwelling.
And then I crashed here because it was super chill.
You sound like Michael Jackson now. The dwarf said...
No, man. This is Michael. He sounds a little different.
The dwarf said... Is this my turn or...
I don't care.
All right. If you would take us to our house, cook, make the bed, swash, sew, and knit, and if you will keep everything neat and clean, you can stay with us and you shall not want for nothing, because you're doing everything.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, said Snow White.
With all my heart.
I'm kind of imitating you now.
I know.
With all my heart.
Yeah, that was like...
There it is.
Okay.
I was enjoying your voice so much.
That's fine. Thank
you
you.
know,
Thank you for the
Snow White
compliment.
had that moment, where you're talking to somebody and they have a really unique voice, and you accidentally start talking like them just a little bit, and you catch yourself.
And
Never
you
done
mimic.
that? Never done that? Okay,
No,
just me.
I have. I have done that. And she stayed with them. She kept their house in order for them in the mornings. Yeah, and they went to the mountains and looked for copper and gold. In the evenings, they came back, and then their supper had been ready. The girl was alone the whole day, so the good dwarves warned her and said,
Beware of your stepmother, because we know her so well.
I know, I was about to say, she's renowned.
She will soon know that you are here.
How?
What?
Be sure to let no one come in.
This is one of those stupid Grimm's things where they're just like, we're going to foreshadow by telling the villain exactly what we're doing, and that moves the plot forward.
There's an email that went out about you.
It's a distro list. We can't break it up, guys. It took a long time to compile that, It's just such a pain in the ass to remove somebody from
It's spamming us.
Hey, just so you know, the queen is also a Nigerian prince. Anyway.
But if you give me 3 young children's hearts, I will return you 6 more.
Okay.
Just send them over. I really need help ruling my kingdom, is what the email says, because I'm reading it in the dwarf's voice.
There you go. Okay. But then the king, but the queen, believing that she had eaten Snow White's heart, could not
As one does.
but think that she was again the fairest and most beautiful of all. And when she went to her looking glass and said, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of them all? And the glass answered,
I don't remember the voice.
O Queen, thou art fairest of all I see.
That was not it.
But over the hills where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well. And none is so fair as she.
that mare be crushing hard on Snow White.
And, 12. Okay, yeah, I guess it rhymed.
Then she was astounded, for she knew that the looking glass was, for the looking glass never spoke falsely, and she knew that
I don't do it.
and then she knew that the huntsman had betrayed her, and that little Snow White was still alive. And then she regretted everything about eating that heart.
Snap. That was just lunch. Nothing more.
And so she thought and thought again how she might kill her. For so long as she is not the fairest in the whole land, envy let her have no rest. And when she had at last thought of something to do, she painted her face and dressed herself like an old peddler woman, and no one could have known her. In this disguise, she went over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarves.
What mention have we had of the 7 mountains? Fucking 0.
This is Tolkien level of world building. You're just not there. All right, and the 7 mountains and to the 7 dwarves, and knocked on the door and cried.
Wow, that was one sentence and a lot of travel.
Yeah, if only the ring, the walk to Mordor were that quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty things. No, pretty things. Pretty things to sell, very cheap, very cheap. She disguised her voice.
It doesn't say that she did, but let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Snow White looked out of the window. Little Snow White looked out of the window and cried and called out,
Oh, good day, my good women. What have you to sell, even though you kind of already started dressing that?
Good things, pretty things, she answered. Day laces of all colors, and she pulled.
Keep going.
And she pulled. I can't narrate the whole book like that. And she pulled out one which was woven of bright colored silk.
I may let the worthy old woman in.
Thought Snow White, and she unbolted the door and completely ignored the warnings of the 7 dwarves who knew what was happening and warned her.
I want to buy the pretty things from the weird hobo.
And bought the pretty laces. Child, said the old woman, what a frightful look! Come, I will lace you properly for once. Snow White had no suspicion,
I don't suspect a thing.
but she stood before her and let herself be laced with the new laces.
I'm just going to let a stranger touch me.
The old woman so quickly and so tight, laced so quickly and so tightly that Snow White lost her breath and fell down as if dead. Now I am the most beautiful, said the queen to herself.
She never breaks character.
Nope, not until the DVD commentary.
Exactly.
And ran away.
Solid reference.
Thank you. Not long afterwards, in the evening, the 7 dwarves came home. But how shocked they were when they saw their dear Snow White laying on the ground, and that she neither stirred nor moved, and seemed to be dead. They lifted her up, and as they saw that she was laced too tightly, they cut the laces. And she began to breathe a little, and after a while came to life again. Yeah, right? When the dwarves heard that what had happened, they said,
The old peddler woman was no one else than the wicked queen. Because I have all this evidence to support my theory. Couldn't just be a stranger that likes to do harm. Take care, and let no one come in when we are not with you.
But the wicked woman, when she had reached home, went in front of the glass and said,
Looking glass on the wall, who is the most fairest of them all?
And it answered as it before.
You know, I do like to have other conversations besides knowing what
I am asking you to tell me who's the most fairest in the land.
I'm affixed to the surface. In your
I
bedroom,
own you.
and I would really like to do something else and talk to someone else. I've got needs, you know.
Tell me I'm pretty.
That's all I do. It's my job. I hate it. Oh, Queen, thou art fairest of all I see, because I'm stuck in this room, and there's no one else here. But over the hills, where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is alive and well, and none is so fair as she.
When she heard that, all her blood rushed to her heart with fear, for she saw plainly that Snow White was again alive.
But now, she said, I will think of something that should put an end to you.
I'm the only one here. You're talking to me.
No.
It's a good voice.
Thank you. And by the help of witchcraft, are we dying, Squirtle?
You know, that sounds like a good enough place to stop here for a second that we can get this podcast paid for. Let's jump into Nick. I heard you got a book.
I do. It's my first book, Where Monsters Lie, a cyber pulp story about a mover who is caught in a game of death in which he is hunted down by rich people piloting robots.
Woo, lots of stuff there.
It's
when you say,
riveting.
When you say mover, do you mean like a
mover who moves your stuff?
like?
It's in the near future. It's all explained in the book. You should just read it. It's really good.
And where can people find that?
You can find this book on Amazon. Kent, I hear you produce a show for Instagram.
I do. Got a couple things I'm working on, and this show that you're talking about is called Comic Review Puppet. It stars Kirby McStaples, a blue little furry puppet that talks about his favorite comics and gives reviews for them. You can check that out at Comic Review Puppet on Instagram. Go check that shiz.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also got some other podcasts here on this network, on the TMBC network. We've got Gone in 60 Seconds, which is a super fun podcast about every Nicolas Cage movie ever made. They're starting from the beginning and they're doing it in chronological order. It is hilarious. It is super fun. They talk about all things crazy Nicolas Cage and different stuff. So definitely go check that out. It's super funny. And that's pretty much it. So let's just jump back to the book. Where were we? Ignore me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Nothing's happening. Witchcraft, which she understood. She made a poisonous comb. Then she disguised herself and
Not an apple.
Hang on, we're probably not there yet. They then disguised herself.
Poison comb, poison
There's-
apple. Get your poison
No.
shoes. Get your poison.
It's gonna be a
poison.
it's gonna be a poisoned heel, a poisoned stocking. It's gonna go through all the
poison
different
spindle.
It's gonna be an ill-placed plank of wood on the ground eventually, and then she'll just run into it and have it smack her in the face. That's how desperate this woman's getting. Anyway, then she disguised herself and took the shape of another old woman.
A different one.
Yes. So she went over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarves, knocked on the door, and cried, "Good things to sell, cheap, cheap." The same call, too. Little Snow Little Snow
In my
White.
head, it's so grim to repeat things that I'd already forgotten that's a different woman. I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's all what you always greet as is, good things to sell,
Yeah.
yo.
Cheap,
Cheap,
cheap.
cheap, cheap.
And Little Snow White looked out and said,
Go away. I cannot let anyone come in.
I suppose. Oh, wait. What? I suppose you can look.
Back-to-back sentences, no paragraph break,
Uh,
no spacing in between, back-to-back quotes.
It's freaking maddening. Said the old woman, and pulled the poisonous comb out and held it up. It pleased the girl so well that she let herself be beguiled and opened the door.
You guiled me.
When they had, and when they had made a bargain, the old woman said, "Now I will comb." Hang on, damn it! I mimicked you. See, when we were talking earlier. Now I will comb you properly for once. Poor little Snow White had no suspicion.
I don't suspect a thing.
And let the old woman do as she pleased. But
you
hardly
may do what you please.
hardly had set put the comb in her hair, then the poison in it took effect, and the girl fell down senseless. You paragon of beauty, said the wicked woman. You are done now, and she went away. But
What I like is she keeps on saying, "Now I will comb you properly for once. I will lace you properly for once."
you would think that Snow White would catch on to the fact that it's the same person, but whatever.
I will stab you properly.
Seriously,
For
why
once.
did she just murder her there? Just be
run-
done with
just
it.
Stab her with a dagger.
Anyway, more than likely women are more than likely to murder someone with poison and stuff. Statistics show, but I didn't realize it went as far back as Grimm's fairy tales.
The statistics, I guess, started here is fiction. It's where most men grab their statistics from about women.
Well, 65% of men are idiots. So,
So which one is the idiot in this car?
we're not going to
Both
talk
of
about
us.
that. When they had made a bargain with the old woman. Okay, right. And then now you're done now. But fortunately, it was almost evening when the 7 dwarves came home. When they saw that Snow White lying was as if dead upon the ground, they at once suspected the stepmother, and they
Of course
looked
they did.
and
They
found,
never had any other suspects.
and found the poison comb. Scarcely they had taken it out of Snow White, and Snow White came to herself. What is with this poison? That's not poison at that point, and told them what had
Wait,
happened.
what? I was about to start making some CSI jokes, but they literally just
Mm-hmm.
took it out of her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved.
Mm-hmm. Then they warned her once more to be upon her guard and
This
to
is a-
open the door for no one. This is
is a
stranger
girl-
danger.
This is a girl that attracts problems if she can't,
This is literally about stranger danger. This is just teaching about strangers.
When do you push someone out of your life that keeps on having bad things happen to them? You're like once, twice, 3 times. You're like, things happen, but things keep happening to you. It's kind of your fault if you're not gonna
You're not taking the steps needed to just not let that happen to you.
take ownership of
Yeah.
your life and
Yeah.
control it.
If you let others steer your ship, you're gonna hit the rocks.
How old is she? 8, 9?
Oh
Is
yeah,
the story?
she's 9 years old or something. She's not that old.
We haven't actually said her
She's
age,
a
but the
freaking
last
child.
age they mentioned was
7. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say
Oh,
9.
do you think she's a teenager now? They might have said that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The queen at home went in front of the looking glass and said,
Looking glass,
I can't-
looking glass on the wall. Who is the fairest of all?
I just can't
Then-
do this anymore. I mean, we all know what's going to happen. She's alive.
What do you mean?
She's
Th-
not
then-
dead.
then-
You
then-
have no wait. You just,
Then I'm trying to narrate.
oh, queen, thou art fairest of all I see, but over
You
the
win
hills
over
where the
my
7
narration.
dwarfs dwell, Snow White is alive and well, and none is so fair as she.
When she heard the glass speak, thus she trembled and shook with rage.
Snow White shall die, she cried, even if it costs me my life.
Wow, she's that dedicated. Thereupon she went into a quite secret, lonely room where no one ever came, and there she made a very poisonous apple.
Oh, snap.
There's your merch drop. Outside, it looked pretty, white with a red cheek, so that everyone who saw it longed for it. but whoever ate a piece of it must surely die. When the apple was ready,
Paragraph break that we didn't get.
yeah, right, she painted her face and dressed herself up as a countrywoman. And so she went over to the 7 mountains, up to the 7 dwarves. She knocked on the door. Snow White put her head out of the window and said,
I cannot let anyone in. The 7 dwarfs have forbidden me.
because I'm an idiot. All right. Sorry, I had to add that in. Just
No, it's great. It's your line now
Yeah.
because of formatting. You wouldn't think so.
Yeah. Hang on, she's a country. It's all the same to me, said the woman. I shall soon get rid of my apples. There, I will give you one.
No,
Said Snow White.
I dare not take anything. I keep blacking out.
Are
Even though
you
people give
afraid?
me things.
Hang on. Are you afraid of poison?
What?
Said the old woman. Look, I will cut the apple into 2 pieces. You eat the red cheek, and I will eat the white. The apple was so cunningly made that only the red cheek was poisoned. So I mean the skin.
That's some legit shit.
That's some magic right there. Snow White longed for the fine apple.
Oh,
And when
I
she
don't
saw
eat
the woman,
vegetables or fruit.
So when she saw that the woman ate part of it, she could not resist. She could resist no longer.
Because
And
apples
stretch.
have always been the downfall of me until just this moment.
My Achilles heel are random women coming to give me things,
But this apple couldn't possibly have done it, even though the last 2 women tried to murder me.
and it was by poisoning. It's odd that you mentioned poisoning, but anyway.
Is it poison the first time?
Yeah, she was
laced.
She was laced. She was laced.
But still, we're
But-
we're trending poison
Yeah.
right now.
Hashtag poison.
Hashtag trending poison.
Mm-hmm. But hardly had she a bite
Doesn't
in
make
her
any sense.
mouth. Yeah. But hardly had she put a bite in her mouth, then she fell down dead. The queen looked at her with a dreadful look and laughed aloud and said,
Snow. Snow White is snow as white as snow, red as blood, black as ebony wood.
how's she know that?
This time the dwarves cannot wake you up again.
When she asked for the looking glass at home,
You did it.
look.
Can I have a friend?
I would like a friend, please.
Looking glass, on the wall. Who is in this land the fairest of them all?
And it answered at last.
O queen, in this land thou art fairest of all. Now go away.
And then she shattered the mirror.
Ooh, there you go.
Then her envious heart had rest.
That's mic drop.
Yeah, right. And so far as an envious heart can have rest. The dwarves, when they came home in the evening, found Snow White lying upon the ground. She breathed no longer and was dead. They lifted her up, looked to see whether she could find anything poisonous, unlaced her, combed her hair, washed her with water and wine, but it was
This usually works.
she's usually
Usually you just take the comb out.
Or put the comb in.
It's one of the two.
But it was all of no use. The poor child was dead and remained dead. They
I wish that's where the story ended.
Yeah, right. They laid her upon a briar?
BIER.
Buyer?
Nope, I have no idea.
And all 7 of them sat around and wept for her, and wept 3 days long. That is so much water. Then they were going to bury her, but she still looked as if she were living, and still had her pretty red cheeks. They said,
I'll do it.
We could not bury her in the dark ground.
and they had a transparent coffin of glass made,
Ew.
so that she could be seen on all sides, and they laid her in it and wrote her name upon it in golden letters, and that she was a king's daughter. Maybe also the king has not been in this at all.
Yeah, where is he? What
Yeah,
was?
Absent father syndrome is rampant in this story. At least
Where
this
is
time.
my daughter?
At least. Sir, we don't need to bring that up. Would you like some bread?
I would love some bread.
Okay, here you go.
Oh, do you have any butter?
See, I can fetch any. Snow White did make some. I mean, we don't have any. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I love bread.
Okay. Anyway, Let me see. Then the dwarf said, "Let me have a." Hang on. Oh, there we are. The king. Where are we?
The king's daughter, something like that. I already lost my spot.
Yeah,
I tend to when we do bits. I space out and.
And they put the
I'll let
coffin.
you-
Hang
I'll
on,
let you
hang on.
narrate
I got
for a
it. They had transport coffin made, and they laid her in it and wrote upon her in gold letters that she was a king's daughter. Then they put the coffin on out upon the mountain, and one of them always stayed by it and watched it. And the birds came too and wept for Snow White. First an owl, then a raven, and last a dove. And now Snow White lay a long, long time in the coffin.
We're finally getting those birds to show up that Snow White is famous for.
Call back to the birds. And she did not change, but looked as if she were asleep. For she was as white as snow, as red as blood, and her hair as black as ebony. God, just stop. It happened, however, that a king's son, came into the forest.
Whoa!
I think that you should do the Prince Charming in the same voice.
Whoa.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Hello.
He is a reoccurring character in all these stories, after all. And went to the dwarf's house to spend the night. Just because, why not? He saw the coffin on the mountain and the beautiful Snow White within it, and read what was written upon it in gold letters. He said to the dwarves,
Let me have the coffin. Yeah. I will give you whatever you want for it, bros.
Notice he talks about the coffin, not the person inside of it. But the dwarves answered.
I'll pay you handsomely.
But the dwarves answered, "We will not part with it for all the gold in the world."
You serious, bro?
Then he said,
Let me have it as a gift. For I cannot live without seeing Snow White. I read her name on the plaque. That actually did make sense. I will honor and prize her as my dearest possession.
It is confirmed. It is confirmed. She's a possession.
She's going to be a coffee table.
Dude, use a coaster.
Hey, I mean, do you even know this woman?
You're ruining the glass, bro.
I can literally make you a glass table.
Yeah, but how many glass tables come with bodies of hot chicks that don't rot? I gotta have it, bro.
Okay.
Do you have any snacks?
We're at your house.
Yeah, I know, but I'm a prince. You give me the food. That's how it usually works.
Oh, dying. Okay. Okay. All right. As he spoke in this way, the good dwarves took pity upon him and gave
I'm
him the
only
coffin.
a poor prince with all the gold in the world and everyone to do my things for me. But the one thing I don't have is a body preserved inside a glass box. And I have an easy way to carry this glass box that's extremely fragile.
Oh, my God.
And the body might flop out onto the road.
And now the king's son had carried it away by his servants on their shoulders, because those were also there.
Hey,
And
you, and you. Come with me. I got this body inside this glass box that I want to get. Come on.
But do you even know what he's talking about? I have no idea.
Yes, just so many strange things.
And it happened that they stumbled over a tree stump.
No
with-
fucking way.
And with the shock, the poisonous piece of apple in which Snow White had bitten off came out of her throat.
Oh my God!
And
That's not how
before-
poison works.
Hang on. And before long, she opened her eyes, lifted her head and lifted up from the coffin.
Wait,
And lifted
start
up
over.
the lid of the coffin. Hang on. Okay. And before long, she opened her eyes, lifted up the lid of the coffin, sat up, and was once more alive.
Oh, heavens! Where am I?
She cried. The king's son, full of joy, said,
You are with you. I own you. I'm just gonna change this. Hey, don't talk. That's not what I paid for.
I traded you,
You
for
are
a
with
sack
me.
of apples.
I own you. You are with me.
And told her what had happened. And
I
said,
bought you at a reasonable price. Nothing. And now you're mine forever. Pretty reasonable.
Okay. It said, he told her what had happened.
He
and
says
said,
this?
And yes, okay. He
He
told her
told
what
the-
had happened
Oh, he told her what happened
and said,
I love you more than, like, everything in this world. There's lots of coffee tables out there, but you are by far my favorite. Come with me to my father's palace. You shall be my coffee wife table.
Oh, I didn't catch my breath. Okay. And Snow White was willing.
Okay. Sounds great.
You're a thing now.
I'm a thing now.
Oh, my God. And went with him. And their wedding was held with great show and splendor. But Snow
See,
White...
I put this table out. Kind of reminded me of the one that she was in when we first met. It was pretty chill.
When they had... On the night when they tried to consummate their marriage, it must be awkward. I need you to lay perfectly still.
Don't move. I just want you inside that box. Don't move. Now let's put this lid on it and perfect.
Oh my God. Okay. But Snow White's wicked stepmother was also bidden to the feast. And when she had arrayed herself in beautiful clothes, she went before the looking glass and said,
Looking glass on the wall, who is the fairest of all?
the glass answered,
O queen, of all here the fairest art thou. But the young queen is fairer by far, as I trow.
I feel like they're just rhyming for the sake of it.
How is she a queen? The king isn't dead.
She married somebody else's. I don't know. Yeah, they aren't dead yet. That's right.
She's a princess.
Maybe they murdered somebody over there with a poisonous apple.
Princess. Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Hello, world. That's
Yeah.
not how
What
the
were you-
line of succession works.
Then the wicked woman uttered a curse and was so utterly wretched that she
Wretched
knew
twice. You read that correctly.
Yeah, that she knew not what to do. At first she would not go to the wedding at all, but she had no peace and must go to see the young queen. And when she went and she knew Snow White, and she stood still with rage and fear and could not stir. But iron slippers had already been put in. But iron slippers had already been put upon the fire, and they were brought in with tongs and set before her. Then she was forced to put on the red hot shoes and dance until she dropped down dead.
The end. What the fuck just happened?
She was forced to dance the dance of death.
Jesus.
How did they even know it was? I mean,
How do they know it was her? Well, I mean, the dwarves always knew it was her before she even did anything.
I know the dwarves were like, seriously, stay away from your
some fucking Tom
stepmother.
Cruise moving shit. Minority Report dwarves.
Can you imagine them on the tank? But yeah,
Got their hands up.
shoes.
I'm so confused on. No, I mean, I kind of get it, but yeah, the whole king being dead thing. I know that the original king's her father, but they called him a prince, not a king, when he came through the forest. There's no mention of his father dying in between coming from the forest back to the castle.
The
New castle.
Yeah, the continuity is all off. It's all over the place in the story, but
Awesome.
this is just chalk up another Grimm fairy tale. This is why the fuck would you marry this guy in the end? The end.
There's a lot of questions.
She's literally a princess. She can go back home.
Murder shoes.
Murder shoes. And the thing is, there's no mention of why she was forced. They said she was forced to put them on, but how?
How do they know? Why did they say that? Nothing.
And also, was Snow White just staring at her with her cherub face and going, "Dance, bitch, dance."
Yes. Now dance for me.
But now here's the thing: we all know in the end, the real happy ending is that the mirror no longer has to say anything about who's the prettiest of them all. He just
I'm
gets
alone forever, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, but the other way, if you want to help even more, best way to do that would be rating and reviewing us on iTunes. All of those little bits help us rise through the algorithm on those platforms and help us expose us to even new listeners. So we greatly appreciate that. If you do leave us a review on iTunes or a rating, be honest. Let us know exactly what you're thinking about the show. But if you leave a review, we will read it on our podcast, on the air, as long as it's not hate speech.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
You can follow the show on social media at Instagram on @Audiobooks. And you can follow us
at BadAudiobooks.
What did I say?
Audiobooks.
I'm tired.
Our Instagram account at BadAudiobooks.
At BadAudiobooks.
Cool. And we'd like to thank our patrons for supporting us on the show. If you want to head over to patreon.com/BadAudiobooks, you can see all the cool tiers on how to support us there. Nick, you've got a social media account I'm sure that people can follow. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Real Human Maz. Kent, you have a account as well.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Where? Of course.
I'm terribly sorry, Jules.
I can't do my homes right now.
You can't.
I'm
Please
fucking
don't.
spent.
Please don't.
But
Your voice
at
is so shot.
It is pretty shot. At Ken Heidelman. You can follow me there on Instagram. That's the best place to follow me. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, Sonic, take us out.